Can you walk me through, maybe, I'm sure you went through some, you've helped some women who are in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
Why do they stay?
So whenever I find someone in any type of abuse, not just physical, but mental, emotional, I think one is fear based on what they're saying. They feel that it doesn't happen all the time. So like my mother was in an abusive relationship. I'm a child of watching my mother and my father go at it. My father physically and mentally abusing my mother. So she stayed for the kids. He wasn't always that way. She would always tell us that, but that's all I can remember about him. So a lot of the times it's fear, and they don't know what the next move is. They don't want a failed marriage. You know, I'm like, okay, but
would you hold on to a marriage so tight that you lose your life?
Many women have, absolutely. And so that's again where, no, I need you to choose you first. Because if he's dealing with addiction, I have somebody whose husband was addicted to gambling. That's an addiction. No, he's not lashing out at her and things like that, but that's still an addiction. So you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna pray on it. Mm-hmm. No, he needs professional help. Pray and get help. Mm. And if he's not going to get help, you get help to figure out how you need to transition if you need to leave. So I always tell them, I present them with the scenarios, but I never say leave unless I know it's physical, like mental, emotional abuse. I'm like, no, you can't stay in that. That's not healthy. It's not a healthy situation. It's toxic. But most of the times, thank God, the women that I get are in fixable situations. Gotcha. They just don't know how to be the wife to that husband.
Share with me a fixable situation, like in what the fix was.
So breakdown in communication, lack of finances or management, financial management.
So you teach them like, yo, go make more money, or like?
So here's the thing. I teach them how to, one, know your relationship with money. So I had to figure out, when I had a relationship with money, I lied on my money, I cheated on my money, I abused my money. So if money were a person, how did you treat it? And now that's going to help you understand how you're showing up in your marriage or your relationship. So in this case, I wasn't the best with money. My husband was better. I ain't like that. I felt like I had the secure job, I had my little savings, but I wasn't the best with managing money or taking risk like Derek was.
So you weren't the best with money.
No.
He was better with money, and you didn't like the fact. So it's that pride.
That's ego and pride. Absolutely. Why would I want him to be better with money in my marriage? Look, in my marriage. See, that was the attitude. Instead of looking at it as we can help each other. We should be doing better together. But that took maturity. And so that's a fixable situation. Just even with kids, like getting on the same page. Marriage is about becoming, right? So you're becoming who you need to be for your spouse over time. And it's not going to happen overnight. A lot of times we expect our marriages to be in year 15 when we just started in year 2. We're expecting our communication to be up to par when we haven't been through enough to figure out communication styles. Triggers. Yeah.
Walk me through triggers.
Anytime somebody, if I said bills, right now, how that make you feel?
Right.
Do you get excited or does that make you feel hot inside? If I say expenses, you might have a different it's a different connotation attached to it. So certain words, I might say, well, you act like your mother or you act like your father. Those are triggers, things that you know are going to hurt or kind of stir up the emotions inside your spouse. Why would you do those things? Because you want a reaction. You want to be in control. See, a married woman wants to be controlling. She's Mrs. Controlling. She wants to control everything, how he moves, how things are done. I just posted something on Instagram saying, it's going to be really hard for your man to control you if you're Mrs. Controlling. Like, how is he going to control the situation? How is he going to be the leader if you're constantly stepping on his toes and trying to do it your way? Because you're Mrs. My way or the highway.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you ever, that must be a tough thing to coach, though, because if you're controlling in your marriage, you're probably a controlling person.
Absolutely.
And how do you break through and get them to realize, especially if they're just used to, because in their head, they're thinking, well, no, I got to control this situation.
Absolutely.
No, I got to control. Like, how do you coach that?
Because a lot of women are independent. We're raised. I was raised to be an independent woman. You don't need a man. That's how I was raised. Yeah. You can do all this by yourself. So now you're taking that mindset that needs to be changed. Okay, do you want to change? I do. I'm just tired of fighting. Okay, well, wait a minute. Why do you not want him to be in control? What's your fear? I always say that. There's a fear. Because, I mean, I don't want everything. I don't want Ish to hit the fan. That's what somebody told me. I don't want it to hit the fan. What's so wrong with Ish hitting the fan? What if there's a real powerful lesson in things going wrong so that he can get it right? Like, how can he be put in position to lead if you don't give him a chance to? Everything's not going to happen the way you think it should. You can't be in control of everything. Are you happy? Are you full of anxiety? You want to release those things? And she's like, yeah. Okay, well then let's start by letting him lead a little bit. Like, step back and don't say anything. Allow him to make the decision. Not saying you have to be mute on everything. My husband allows me, not allows, like, but we're a partnership. So I'm a part of a lot of decisions that he makes, but sometimes I can't see Derek's way of thinking. I just can't get it. And I'm like, look, this man loves his family. Everything he does is for his family. If he makes a move, it's for us to win. If we don't win, we will get it on the next round. There's a lesson in there that we're going to get out of it. So that's what I try to help these women say. You chose him. Let's go back to that. You the one that chose him. So if you knew that he couldn't be the leader you needed, then why did you say I do? Boo. Right. So I always get back on them and their decision, because that's the only person you can really change and own. Your actions, you're the person. Yeah. So I focus on you. I'm not going to necessarily focus on him, not that he doesn't have any responsibility, but I need you to look at the situation a little differently. If you're tired, if you're exhausted, maybe you're taking on too much. Have you not thought about relinquishing some of that, delegating some of that, and allowing yourself to be more at peace? So that takes time. It's not like I can just tell him that. I have to give him a little bit at a time, just a little bit. Okay, you know what, tomorrow, let him dress your daughter and you don't say nothing about what he chooses. And if she walks out the house with polka dots and red socks, it's okay. Women are very controlling about stuff up into details like that. Like, no, she can't walk out the house with no gold slippers on. Yes, she can. She gonna be all right, and you gonna be all right too. Right. So you're teaching, like, just relinquish. It's not that serious. Like, even if in your head you're thinking that's not right, that shouldn't be. She looks crazy. Just let it go. Let it go for the sake of the marriage. For the sake of the marriage, for the sake of your sanity. It's not that, like, really focus on the things that you need to focus on. And I've had to learn that too, because I was a control freak. I still can be a little controlling, but washing the dishes the way I want to wash. Like, little stuff. Like, you are going to run this man crazy. He ain't going to want to do nothing for you, because if you going to do it, then do it. If you going to tell me how to do it, then you might as well do it. I've had to learn to just walk away. If he going to cook, okay, I'm going to go upstairs. That's how I control the situation. Right. Let me go upstairs and do something else. Right. So he can have at it in the kitchen, because he'll have food everywhere, dishes everywhere, you know. I like to cook and wash dishes. You know, I have my way of doing things, and then Derek has his. So I've had to learn to appreciate that. Stop trying to change everything to fit my model or my mode of what I think marriage is supposed to look like. This is his marriage too. I got a good question too, and thank God I don't deal with this. There are some women who just, I don't know, for some reason they just don't want to be intimate. Maybe they just don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy, sex? They don't enjoy sex, right? Really? I mean, I know some friends where it's always like a negotiation to try. You got to creep up to it. You got to be nice the whole day, because you know at the end of the day, and, you know, I guess typically women aren't as sexually driven. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever coach someone that's like that? Like, I just don't want to. I just don't want to do it. We are going into week 5, and week 5 is how to be intimate with them. Great question. I think honestly, women have to first be sexual within themselves. Like, I have to exude sexuality if I want to be intimate with my man. It's not just on him. Like, y'all want us to initiate sex too, but it goes back to what's her relationship with sex. Like, sometimes there's trauma there. Sometimes she's been having sex for a long time, or maybe a lot of my women were taught that sex was bad for so long that now you're married and the bed is undefiled, and they don't know how to have sex and really be intimate with so they're kind of embarrassed. It's like, I'm a grown woman, I don't know how to have sex, what's going on? So I think it goes back to them tapping into their sexuality. I teach women to really understand what foreplay is and how that has nothing really to do with being in the bedroom. It's everything outside. Like from how y'all talk to each other. See, that's where intimacy starts. Intimacy is drawing him closer, him drawing you closer to where y'all want to be physically, Foreplay is really where it's at. Sexual, sex is just the physical act. You really want to start acting foreplay out from how y'all talk to each other to little stuff, touching each other, riding in the car, just really tuning into your feminine powers. I'm not sure why, again, that may be a problem in their relationship, but I say go back to where did that relationship with sex start? And sometimes, again, if I talk about sex, like this week, I'll talk about sex and I'll say certain things. And I'm like, does this make you feel uncomfortable? And if it does, why? Like, where's your comfort level when it comes to sex? I think a lot of times that's a conversation you don't want to have with your spouse, but you got to be real. If we're going to be together forever, and sex is on the table, that's one of those things that need to happen. We're going to have to talk about it. How you like to do it?
Right.
Did you like how I did that last night? You ain't like that? You ain't like that? Okay, well, what part? Well, you want me to flip you over? Like, get comfortable. And that takes vulnerability. That takes really just being open and saying, you know what? I don't even know if I know how to twerk, baby. You want me to twerk? Like, that's a conversation you need to be able to have with your man. So that, to me, when you start getting comfortable talking about sex and really creating the sex life you want, that's when y'all will probably start having a little bit more of it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm saying, are there women that just don't? Because I dated years and years and years ago, and she had some trauma around sex, and she didn't necessarily like it, right? So for your spouses, and again, thank God I don't deal with that, because I can't even imagine being in a relationship where you can't.
Yeah. That's deeper than just let's have a conversation. Now let's go ahead and get some professional help.
Right. So are you teaching them to be comfortable, or? I'm
teaching them to be comfortable, but for those who have the trauma or that's very uncomfortable, like I don't want to have sex, let's figure out what's going on. Because if you're married, that's sort of like a requirement. I mean, I can see if y'all 80 years old and y'all ain't doing it no more, but nah, if you're in your prime and he ready, you that's something your husband needs. You need that. You know what I'm saying? So what is it that's keeping you from going there comfortably? So I think that's more mental. It's a lot of everything starts with our minds. So she has to really turn on. If it's trauma, like I said, get professional help. But for that woman who's just maybe tired, who just lazy, nah, boo, we're gonna have to work on that. Like, what's keeping you? Have you been working out? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing to keep your stamina up? Because if you feel good about yourself, if you feel sexy, then that attraction with your man is gonna be it's gonna be genuine, and it's gonna be a little bit more stronger. And
how many weeks is your program?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, man.
So can you take me through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like the topics?
Absolutely. So week 1 is how to create a marriage mindset. Because a lot of women get married with this fairytale syndrome of what marriage is going to be. You heard of that before?
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So really helping women to get rid of that fairytale syndrome and creating a realistic mindset of what this thing called marriage is. Week 2, how to talk to him. All about taming your tongue. Understanding that communication is the number one reason why folks are splitting up, okay? Week 3 is how to love him the way he needs to be loved. Because sometimes we feel like, I'm a woman, I know how to love my man, but we don't really know what love means to them and what you would need in order to feel that from us. So we teach you how to love him. Week 4 is how to respect him. Yeah.
Love and respect different.
Right. Men want to be respected. Women want to be loved. But when we show y'all respect, y'all in turn show us love.
Oh,
Cash App, Life with LB. Cash App, Life with LB. So week 5 is how to respect him. Week 4. Week 5 is how to be intimate with him. So really, again, talking about sex, foreplay, things that we can do to spice up our sex life. And then week 6, how to live the happy wife life. What is that? We hear it all the time. Happy wife, happy life. What that really mean? And I really uncovered some stuff in that week, because it's not that. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with us.
Give me a few principles.
Yes. So basically, your man is not responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your happiness. The happy wife life is a myth. Yeah. Happy wife, happy life is a myth, because it's basically coming from the perspective of, if y'all do everything in y'all power to make us happy, this thing called marriage gonna work. This y'all marriage too. You need to be happy too. See, I'm advocating for y'all. Like, this is for the men, for y'all to have just as much as a successful marriage as we have. But happiness, understanding that you have to tap into your happiness. Do things that make you happy outside of your spouse. Yeah, he your BFF, but y'all ain't got to do everything together.
Yeah.
Like, let him breathe, boo. Let him go. Let him go. That is some of the best time when Derek and I are apart and we come back together. A loose rein will keep your marriage tight. Did you catch that?
A loose rein. Yeah, I need a bar book, a quote book.
Baby, LB got him.
A loose rein will keep your marriage tight.
So I'm teaching my women how to tap into real happiness and what that looks like, how you exude happiness, not just with your man, in your life, with your kids. So teaching them how to really get back to what makes them genuinely happy outside of their spouse.
You've dealt with a lot of wives, right? Is there a common theme that you see amongst all of them that come to you, right? There's a certain issue. And I guess you created the 6 for the
Those
themes,
are the pillars.
right? Is there one thing that trips up a lot of wives overwhelmingly that, like, if you can fix this one area, you can create bliss?
It would have to be getting rid of the fairytale syndrome, because we grow up, and I know I've been guilty of this. I've watched Love Jones how many times? I've watched Brown Sugar, The Notebook, and you really get wrapped, or you have no idea how much that has an impact on what you think your relationship is supposed to look like or feel. And then you get into this real relationship and you're like, wait a minute, what? Where are the butterflies? Wait a minute, his feast thing, I don't like him today. What's going on? Why I feel this way? That's a fairytale syndrome.
Where are the butterflies?
Where are the butterflies, right? And you little flutter.
Because I knew there was going to be some butterflies around
I just knew this man was going to sweep me off my feet and we're going to live happily ever after. You notice the credits go up and it gets black.
Yeah.
No, that's where the work starts. So when we come into marriage understanding that this is work, and a lot of people don't like to hear that when it comes to marriage, because love is supposed to be easy. Like, I'm not supposed to have to do all this. You're just supposed to love me. I love you. You do whatever I say. And when that doesn't happen, I'm disappointed. I'm setting these unrealistic expectations. So I would always say that fairytale syndrome, because I make them go back to their first example of marriage, whether that was TV, movies, your parents, nobody. Yeah. Where did you get this concept of marriage from? And 9 times out of 10, David, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. I have wives in my class right now. She's like, oh my God, I really thought I would have butterflies all the time. I really thought that I would look at him and just melt. Who told you that, sis? Wait, where you get that from?
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's getting that mind together and realizing that, no, my marriage isn't perfect, but we are 2 imperfect people who are perfect for each other. So let's make this work for us.
I love it.
That's a mindset.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is your training regimen?
Yeah.
In terms of being this person that's going to be taking on this heavy load, because that's a heavy load. Like, people come to me, maybe they're excited about their business and they just want to know what's next. So it's like, it's light, but they're coming to you saying, here's all my stuff.
Yeah.
What is your training regimen to prepare to be this wife coach?
Yeah, well, honestly, that's why the class is quarterly, because I give my all to those women in that 6 weeks. I not only provide them with the group coaching, because it's a very small, intimate class. I want them to be able to open up. You know, a lot of people don't like to tell their ish. They don't like to tell their stuff. But I want to create a safe space so that can happen. But they also get to contact me personally. What are you dealing with personally that you didn't say in class? Because I want to be able to help these women walk through. Let me pinpoint what I think the issue is, and then let's see how this works. I have a woman right now who is hilarious. I mean, I love her personality, but one thing she'll say is, I be talking crazy to my man.
And she knows it.
And she knows it. Most of the time, they don't even know. Like, I didn't even think I wasn't aware. She knows it.
So what I'm about to say is crazy.
She's deliberately.
But I'm saying it anyway.
So it's like, okay, let's talk. In class, it's funny, but now let's talk one-on-one. And we talk one-on-one. What's really going on with you? And at the end of the day, it's unrealistic expectations she's had, unmet expectations. Her husband isn't meeting her expectations. So she uses that to lash out. That's how she feels like she's winning, by being able to cut him down with her words. So I use that 6 weeks is intense. And that's why I take a little vacation afterwards. Yeah. But I'm also, for those women who are unable to work with me in the live setting, I've actually recorded the masterclass. Nice. So the masterclass will be available starting next year round, unless you want to work with me in that live class setting. Ain't nothing like being with me live because we have a good time. But
so you take one-on-one clients?
No. The class is a small class of gotcha. I have a small group, and then I have the masterclass that's going to be recorded. Okay. One-on-one, I've done that for a little bit, but that's very taxing.
I bet.
That's very taxing.
They call you at every argument, right?
It's very taxing. And I had to ask myself, what does success look like for me as the wife coach? Family is everything. Like I said, my marriage is my business. So y'all better make sure my marriage is going to be taken care of first before I go help somebody else's. Sure. So I make sure that time, freedom is there. And so, it just, during that 6 weeks, I'm all the way on. But then I take me a little break and get ready for the next quarter.
What about them little young wives? The little 19s,
they
the
so
little
cute.
20s.
Whole little tank. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. Whole little tank. I mean, again, it goes back to that mindset. Yeah. A lot of them are young, getting into marriage with this fantasy. Yeah. And they're like, well, LB, even though I'm older, I'm 41.
Are you really?
You ain't know that, brother.
Okay.
41. And so I've been married, of course, 11 years, so I can use my experience to help them. But I feel I'm young and hip.
Yeah, for sure.
Not
hip. When you say it like that, hip.
You got to say hip, But no, so I feel like I can relate to them.
I thought you were younger than me, though, honestly. I'm 35.
No, I'm your big sister. But a lot of them do reach out, and they say that they're following my post. So it's a lot of things I post on Instagram that women can relate to. I'm just speaking my truth. And you can relate to it. Oh, that's your pain point. Let me show you how to work through this at 20.
I love it.
I couldn't have gotten married at 20. 22, 23, 24. I didn't know who I was. So we would have been divorced in 6 months because I was still trying to figure out, who am I? What am I supposed to do with this life? Right. Why am I here? Why I go to school and get all this debt? So yeah.
Good. Well, I learned a lot. And here's the thing, like when you say some stuff, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get Dre to watch this. But outside of that, you teaching me things that a wife needs to do helps me as a husband understand that it's not, I guess, if a woman has certain expectations, maybe the husband coach comes and says, well, we need to at least identify what those expectations are and try to meet them, right? And if both of you are trying, then you have bliss. I don't know if bliss exists. Bliss? Does bliss exist?
To me, it's like
marital
fantasy.
Bliss. Bliss is a strong word.
We
what
say
does
it.
Bliss mean?
Satisfaction. I think, contentment, fulfillment, meaningful. Like you want a meaningful marriage.
I want to look up the word bliss.
I think that's fantasy. Because it's just like probably overly excitement. Sometimes during my anniversary, I would say there was bliss. Because we was on our best behavior, baby. We were having a really good time. And it just felt euphoric, You felt like, oh, this is when we first met. But then, I ain't got that feeling right now.
Bliss is perfect happiness.
Yeah.
Great joy. Perfect happiness.
And who has a perfect relationship? Whose happiness is perfect?
Yeah, there's no perfect happiness. So, I think you have to identify what happiness is for you.
Exactly.
Right? And then get as close to that as possible. That's it. And it's a continued journey, right?
It's a continued journey. You will never arrive. It will constantly evolve, and you're evolving with it, hopefully. Hopefully.
Wow. Yeah. Did your husband think you're an amazing wife?
I would say so, yes. I would.
And your husband's dope,
you were about
too.
to say, come on now, Deb. You saw him. You saw us in action.
Yeah.
We're a pretty cool couple.
He's dope, too.
Thank you.
He literally coached me at Coriel's event. He was coaching. And I'm like, yo, you are the husband coach, bro.
You would never know, though, because he's so low-key. Like, he's in the background.
And we was in a corner, like, on the low, under the music, like he's talking. I'm listening intently, and he's blowing my mind. And like you to study. Oh, I think I asked you that question. How do you prepare? Like, what is your regimen? Do you read a lot of books? Do you watch a lot? Do you study this stuff?
Constantly. Always wanting to know what's going, like the trends, especially with this pandemic. All right, what's going on with relationships now? Because everybody was at the lawyer office whenever they could get out the house. Because divorces went up like 33%.
No.
Yeah, because people are staying home with spouses they don't know. When you think about your day-to-day, you gone how many hours a day?
A lot.
And then you spending all your time with that person, you don't even know what they like, what they don't like, because they probably got husbands at work. You know, you got your husband at work, you got your wife at work, you know. So now you're home with this person. It's like, I don't really know you. We don't know how to talk to each other. We're spending all this quality time, but we got some real issues. That pandemic uncovered a lot of issues, which gave me a lot to research. Like, why are women calling it quits? Why are women at their wits' end? And it's more than just the marriage. The children are home now. You know, you have virtual learning. It was so much going on.
Yeah.
It, not just being home, it was so much going on at one time. And so, yeah, I study that. I have to stay abreast of what's going on in this whole relationship realm and what my women are constantly saying, which seems to be the same thing. That's why I'm like, how long I've been doing this? And I keep hearing the same thing. So where can we start teaching this sooner? Mindset.